Hello, welcome. I'm Robin Smith and so happy to be here with you today. I'm here on the Conscious Thriving Relationships page and offering a free coaching session for you and a Q&A and just an opportunity for you to ask any questions and get some support around your relationships or self-esteem issues. So thanks for all of you who are here today. Really fun to be with you live. I love these sessions. Um, and I want to start with a little bit of teaching that I think is something I hear about a lot from my clients. And the topic is that they feel afraid to speak up. They feel afraid to speak the truth to their significant others, their boyfriends or partners. And so often might look like a situation where they're upset about something or they want something that they're not getting. And so they have something they want to say, but they're afraid to say it, right? Because what could happen if they say it? They might feel not supported in that. They might get ridiculed. They might well, go ahead and type below your comment on what comes up for you in this type of situation. What are you afraid of could happen if you speak up about something that you need or want, or something that you're unhappy with in the relationship? Many of my clients realize through our coaching that they find they're concerned they might be rejected by their partner. He or she might say something that pushes them away. Again, that could look like ridicule, but it could also look like, they don't care, or they maybe just argue with what they're saying. Maybe they turn it around into an attacking back, or they criticize their partner, "You're attacking me." So it could be received in a lot of different ways. And so there's certainly, an understanding for why you might be afraid to speak up if that's what's happening for you. We go by experience. And so when that's happened before, of course, it's going to be more likely to happen again, and you might feel more afraid to take that risk. And I do find that with my clients, this is not a new situation. It often is a pattern where it's happened before for them. And if not in this relationship, it could stem from earlier in life when you felt like if you spoke up, something bad would happen. You'd get punished, or again, made fun of, or criticized in some way. Sometimes something happens when you speak up, like people pull away from you, or you might lose a friend, or feel like that what you said caused something bigger to happen. And I talked to someone who said that the other day, and she could see that it actually wasn't true that she caused that to happen, but it seemed that way from a child's perspective based on how people responded. And so that would be a good reason to feel like it's scary to speak up, or it's not safe. So we might choose to hold ourselves back. But of course, the problem with holding back important information that's especially pertinent to the relationship that you're speaking to, the partner or the person who you're wanting to speak to, is that any kind of holding back is going to create some distance. I just wrote a blog post about this. You should definitely check it out. I'll put a link in the video here. It's called "The Problem with Secrets." But we think that holding back is somehow going to make things better, because then there won't be this argument or this rejection. And so we think we're trying to keep things harmonious or safe. And that may be true, I'd say, on the short term, but in the long term, what happens is we create a false sense of safety, right? Because what we're doing is not being totally authentic with how we're feeling, what we're thinking. So when you withhold some information that the person that if you were to share might bring you closer, then you're creating more distance between you. You can't have people tell me I want a more authentic relationship, I want to be closer, but how could you be closer if you're holding back some, some key information? So it's really important, I think, this one, and unfortunately it's something that we learn to do. It's in our culture quite a bit that a lot of people keep secrets or hide important information from each other in families and even in TV shows and in movies. So we think we're doing someone a favor. Sometimes we hold back information because we don't want to upset them. We think we're doing it for them and their well-being. And yet most of us feel differently if we're the one being, not being told the truth, right? Most people are more upset when someone didn't speak the truth to them than if they had. I hear that all the time. It's the fact that you lied to me that really got me upset, right? So the thing to remember here is that we are not at all in control of what will happen when we do speak up, right? We speak some truth, we share some important information. And we hold back because we want to be in control, because we're afraid of some kind of outcome. And the problem is that when we're doing that, it is like we're manipulating the situation by not being honest in order to control a certain outcome, to keep things a certain way. But if we want to be on equal playing field with each other, which I think most people ultimately want to feel, like I was going to say the word comrades, although that has some negative connotation, but equal on equal ground with our beloveds, then we have to play fair, and playing fair is speaking the truth. So, and like I was saying, this is part of being totally authentic. If you want authenticity in your relationship, you have to be willing to initiate it, to live it, right? Any kind of holding back is you not being authentic. And for me, it's pretty much a similar idea between authenticity and integrity. So we're authentic with someone else when we're speaking the truth, being honest, and that also shows an integrity within ourselves. And for me, that's really important, because I can't live, let me back up. Integrity for me is a sense of being in alignment with myself. And I love that sense of integrity, like when you say it's true, right? Is being in truth. And the tie back with the construction term, to make something true. When it's true, like you're lining up, nails on a panel or something. You're making something balanced. Now I'm forgetting the other terms, but you're trying to find a sense of true. Hi, Jennifer. Good to see you here. And that's alignment, right? In construction, you need things to be lined up with gravity, right? So that you have a strong foundation, creates a strong, safe, supportive building. Well, it's the same thing in our relationships. So when we have full integrity inside ourselves, it means we're being truthful and living from a place of truth. We're tuning into what's true and then living in alignment with that. And so we all know, I think, what that feels like, hopefully, when we do that. We say yes when we mean yes, and we say no when we mean no. And even though we may have some upset around that, we may be concerned of disappointing someone if we do that, the ultimate is that we're in alignment with ourselves, and we can't be responsible for anyone else's feelings, right? For what they think of us, for how they feel about us, or anything else, and for how they act. And so I was saying, when we hold back some pertinent information, it's almost like we're taking more responsibility than is our fair share. We're holding back because we're trying to control how someone else is going to respond, right? And that's not fair. It's taking more responsibility than is ours to take, and it's kind of not being in integrity with ourselves. So if we want to have authenticity with a partner, to be in integrity with ourselves is a great start. And what I find is then I attract people, and not just partners, but friends, who want to meet me in that place of integrity. So when I'm honest with me and I can honestly say, no, I don't want to do that right now. What I'd rather do is this, or, that didn't feel good to me, what happened between us, and here's what I, want you to know about that. People will respect that, for the most part. And if they don't, if they can't hear it for some reason, or they take offense, or they want to attack back, then I know that, they can't meet me in integrity. They can't hear my truth, my integrity, without taking it, personally in some way. And that's kind of a bigger topic, but hopefully that's making sense. And please, please leave a comment. And even if you're watching this later, I'll be coming back to read the comments and respond to you. So I'd really be happy to hear from you and with any questions that you might have. So I'm talking about being authentic and how that connects to being in integrity with yourself, and how both of those support a more authentic and connected relationship. So that's the piece I haven't talked about much, is this sense of connection. When we're connected to ourselves and in integrity, knowing how we feel and what we want, and sharing that as best we can. We may not fully know what we feel or what we want, but if we even can share, I don't know, what's true for me right now is I'm scared, or I don't know, then we're opening the doorway to connection. I talk about this a lot. Being truthful and expressing the truth is a doorway to deeper connection and a real connection. That's another thing I hear a lot from people, is I want real connection. I want meaningful connection. I want fulfillment in my relationship. And we can't get those things if we're not being totally honest, if we're holding back some important piece of information. So take that in for a moment. And if you do have a question, you're here with me now, go ahead and put it into the comments and I'll check it out and see if I can respond. So creating a deeper connection is based on what we express. We don't always, can't always say things perfectly and well thought out. Sometimes we're going to be impulsive, but if we can be, as authentic as we can with that, sometimes what I'll do is, if I say something and it didn't come out how I wanted it to, I'll just say, you know what, I wish I had said that differently. Let me try to rewrite, like you can in an email or a text, or you can edit and redo. Well, you can do that when you speak out loud too. You can say, wait a minute, that's not what I meant. Let me try again. Is it okay if I, and I think most people will, will warm up to that. It's sort of like, it's very humble to do something like that and just say, I could have done better, and let me give it a try. So that's an authentic act, right? Instead of trying really hard to do it so right that and then holding fast to, like, that's how it's supposed to be. All that is sort of creating a more distance and closing us from the one we're trying to connect to. Hopefully that makes sense. So let me break those two apart. If you're trying really hard to say it right, like rehearsing what you're going to say, taking notes for yourself, trying to make it perfect, trying to avoid any kind of conflict, we might put a lot of energy into some kind of communication. What we create for ourselves is a lot of tension, like, because there's all this pressure. I have to do it right, and if I don't, something bad's going to happen. And that's totally understandable that you might feel that way. You create a lot of anxiety for yourself, right? And so it's a lot harder to be authentic when you're trying to do it right and perfectly. So most people I find feel better when they are more natural with themselves, with their communication, even if it, like I said, it doesn't come out perfectly the first time. They may take a moment and refine it or whatever needs to happen to feel that you're getting heard and getting your message across. But when it's more natural, coming from the heart instead of some kind of rehearsed speech, I think it will be received better as well. So that's, again, this being authentic and also leads to making a deeper connection. So I'm going to pause, and I see I've got a question here, a comment. Yes, this time of year is stressful for many. I've asked my partner if they're okay because they seem a bit different than usual. Yeah, I've noticed that too. Um, they shared this time of year is stressful for them. It is stressful for me, especially this year as well. What do you suggest we could do to connect? Great question. I don't want to keep asking if they're okay because I feel things are different. I also think asking isn't beneficial and will only stress them even more. Awesome, Jennifer. I appreciate your question. And I think it's true in general, whether it's this time of year or any time that you're especially stressed out, it affects your relationships first. I think your relationship with yourself, right? Because you've got, just like what I was talking about with kind of holding back the truth or rehearsing too much, is that you create this tension inside yourself. So when we're stressed, it's the same thing. We have this inner tension and it's like contraction. Take a moment and just sort of tune into what that might feel like for you if you're trying too hard, or if you're kind of frazzled, or you've got too much on your plate. What's the feeling in your body? And for me, I notice like I don't breathe as much, and I've got this kind of going on in my chest area and my solar plexus, upper belly area. Yeah. And so the first thing you can do is, if you find yourself especially stressed out and kind of acting kind of short with your beloveds, is pause, take a moment and just like, okay, I'm stressed. That would be a great first step, is like, oh, I realize I'm stressed, pause. And then the next great step would be to feel what's happening inside yourself. And I like to start with, let me back up. I like to actually say the first next step would be to feel you're making contact with the ground. So feet on the floor, butt on the seat. And then a breath often just comes naturally from that. So, I'm here, I'm stressed. Here's the wood floor under me. Here's the couch under me. Here's the air on my skin. And so getting more present with yourself, because stress, it kind of takes us out of ourselves. We're like, we're often like, what do I have to do next? And we're in this, on this hamster wheel, or we're angry about something in the past and we're turning over what happened. So the more you can get here with yourself, there's a lot less or no stress in this moment. There's just sensations, heart pounding or chest tight or belly clenched, hands sweaty, whatever it might be. That's being present. And then you ask, what do I suggest to connect? You don't want to keep asking, are you okay? Are you okay? You don't want to be kind of bothering your partner or stressing them even more. My thought is to ask if you can make some time to connect. Can we sit down and talk? I want to hear what's going on with you. I want to be available for you. I know you're really stressed, and is there anything I can do? Maybe they don't want to talk. Maybe they just want a back rub, right? Or maybe they just need to vent, and you can be available for just, let's let it out and just let yourself complain and bitch about it. So that might be one way, everyone's different with how they want to deal with stress. And some people really pull away from their beloved, and they just want, like, I just need to be alone, and they need space, and they need to work it out alone. Um, it's not the most connecting way to process, but you can't force someone to connect, right? So, but if they're willing to connect, maybe you take a bath together, or go to a hot tub place, and because that's so relaxing for one, and then you can and you get more present together, you can drop in. So something that I would say like that, where it helps you relax. Some warm water is always great, hot tea, hot bath, or massage. Or maybe you move your bodies together. You take a walk, you put on a song, and you dance, and you get playful. Something where you're kind of getting more present together. And then if the person's available for talking, then of course that might be useful too, as a way to connect and be able to share what's going on. So Jennifer, let me know if that seems helpful, or if you want to respond and ask another question. I'm here. Another thing that comes to mind as I think about this is to simply say, is there anything you would like from me right now in your stress? Is there some way that I could be of benefit to you? And then you give them that opportunity to speak from what's going on for them. And my other thought, I'm just going to keep going here while I'm having these ideas, is to share your experience. Not that you're putting any blame on the other person, but it could be something as simple as, I notice that when you're stressed out, I get stressed out, or I feel scared that we're not connecting as much as I'd like, or I feel concerned about you. Again, that might not be the right approach for one person or another, but it is being authentic, right? So just check in with, can you be authentic, as we were talking about earlier, in this type of situation around stress? So I want to pick up where I left off before answering Jennifer's question, since she's not replying right now, and say that this whole trajectory I'm painting between, like, being afraid to speak up and share what's going on, creating a lack of authenticity, and also a lack of integrity for you within yourself. What happens with that, this lack of inner integrity, like, I'm not being honest, I'm not speaking what's true, I'm pretending things are okay when they're not, or I'm trying to protect them by holding back what's true for me. Whatever your version of that is, there's a misalignment inside, and I also call that a lack of congruency, right? If you feel one way and then you pretend you're feeling another, you say it's okay and it's not okay, that type of thing, you're not being congruent within you. And so it's sort of like, as I love this expression, there's a kink in the hose. There's a kind of shutdown of the flow, and what happens for you is you don't get to feel good. You don't get to feel as alive and vibrant and connected to yourself when you're not in integrity with yourself, not in integrity with you, or with anyone else for that matter. Does that make sense? So any kind of withholding the truth, or not speaking up fully, not expressing, is a way that you kink your own hose. You hold your own energy back. You compress your energy, you contract your energy. And so you don't get to feel as alive and abundant and free and natural with yourself. So another good reason to be in integrity and as authentic as you possibly can. And then I want to make one more connection here. I'm really I've connected these dots before, but it just sort of clicked into place the other day, and I want to share this. When all that's happening, lack of integrity with yourself, incongruency, kind of shutting down your own flow, you will feel less confident in yourself. So self-esteem is something I work with a lot, and especially with women, but with men too. Self-esteem can be the kind of root of not wanting to speak up because of that fear of abandonment or rejection, that fear of not being liked, that feeling that you're not good enough, and um, you have to do it a certain way in order to be liked. So low self-esteem can be the cause of that and initiating withholding, but you can also kind of create more low self-esteem, create more feeling bad about yourself by withholding, by not being in integrity, because you will feel a little bad about yourself for being dishonest, for not being truthful with yourself. I'm touching my chest here. You can't maybe see in the video, but if you know you're holding something back that feels important to you, then it's a good way to kind of feel, to shut your energy down, but to also kind of like I said, feel a little bit bad about yourself. Like, know that you're not being in alignment with you. And so you kind of keep a cycle going, like in a way you're not being trustworthy with yourself. And self-esteem comes when we can trust ourselves, when we know we follow through on what's important to ourselves. So it's just about 10:30. I feel like I've given a huge mouthful here, a lot to chew on. And thanks for those of you who are here watching. I'm going to make this video, hopefully it's shareable, so you can, spread this out to your friends and, get people to watch it. I think there's a lot of juicy information here. In the information below the video or somewhere alongside, I have some links. So one is my website page, consciousthriving.relationships.com. And if you go there, I have a free guide. I'm going to change the name of it, but it's basically 3 steps to living in integrity. That we could call it that if I change the name to that. But what it is giving you some tools for how to communicate with more authenticity, how to be more truthful without starting up an argument, without blaming, without, most likely without causing someone to want to be defensive in response. So it's really great tips, and I hope you take advantage of that. You just go there and it asks for your email, and then you'll get the guide right away, and it'll also come to your inbox. When you do sign up for that, you'll get regular tips from me. I'm sending stuff out. The first time you sign up, you'll get stuff every day or two, but that's that just happens for a few days, and then you'll get stuff about once a week. And it's these great tips that I'm offering around how to be in more authentic relationships and create more meaningful relationships. So check that out. And then I have a link here also for the Facebook group that I lead, and it's called Healthy Relationships Sisterhood. And so if you go there, I've got regular posts every day. People are interacting. There's a lot of good engagement, and you can access me there too. And I'd be happy to support you in that group. You can also email me, Robin, ROBYN. I'll put my email here as well, robin@conscioustriving.relationships.com, and I'd be happy to support you. So do check out the guide and the Facebook group and my upcoming blogs, and I hope to interact with you more here and online and maybe in person. Thanks so much for being here, and have a beautiful Wednesday or whatever day you're watching this. Namaste.